when we started out doing this, Cheryl and I looked at all of the possibilities individually, and when we got back together, we found out that there weren't a whole lot of different options for trying to get to one person, one vote. And I think that was the first priority of this group, and the first priority of any of the legislators I spoke to. Everybody wanted to get away from weighted voting. And the biggest problem with refiguring the districts is in the towns. The narrowness of the county leaves you with very few possibilities as far as attaching towns in order to keep the districts with contiguous towns. That was the reason, and I know you wanted us to look at the possibility of going to 13, staying with 15, or going to 11. 13 just doesn't work. And it starts right off not working. When you look at the northern part of the county, the town of Sterling only really touches the town of Victory. You can't draw a district without going there. And as soon as you go there, you've got not enough for a district for 11 and too many for 13. So you're just stuck with the possibilities right there. The same thing happens if you start at the south end of the county and try to come up with your matching number. These numbers and the districts within the city of Auburn are all within the for 11 are all within the 5% goal of weighted of the population. Since the last map that most of you saw, there's been a little bit of tweaking between the two northern parts of the city of Auburn. District, what they will be is 8 and 9. The districts, when you see them referred to in the resolution when it gets put together, will be the top left corner will be District 8, and then it'll be clockwise 8, 9, 10, and 11. The districts out in the county, the one with Sterling is number 1, and then it's the one on the left is number 2. The Cato Brutus is number 3.
Aurelius.
Aurelius Springport Fleming is 4. 6871 Owasco Senate is number 5. Ledyard Scipio Genoa is 6, and 7 is the Moravia Venice, etc. The numbers on the bottom of the second page show you that those are the population numbers within the 4 districts in the city of Auburn. The population numbers on the districts out in the county are all listed on the map, and you can see that there is one that is the Springport Aurelius Fleming district is the only one that is outside the 5% limit, and it's minimally outside. It's outside by about 120, I think it was. 120. About 120, which in a population of 74,000, I think the term lawyers use is practicable. It's as close as it can get. And we're going to have Fred practice saying practicable. We've tried multiple other combinations and we can't come up with anything that is that's closer. I think this is the best bet, and it seems to be the one that has gotten the general consensus of the legislators that we've both talked to, and we've answered a few questions from people. And if anybody has any more or any other information you'd like, feel free to ask Cheryl.
Yeah.
So I don't.
Just gotta yell if you ask me because I can't hear.
Okay, I don't see any questions that anybody has, though. I guess I have questions. Are you guys comfortable with bringing a resolution? I guess both the commissioners and council, are you comfortable with bringing a resolution forward for our May legislative meeting? Do you think you could have a resolution ready by then?
I think so, yeah.
May or
We
April?
could have it, we could have it sooner.
Yeah, that's what we wondered. Do you want it sooner? Because you got to go to a public hearing
Yeah.
and
Everybody's good with that?
Yeah,
No concerns?
for next week at Ways, Chris.
Okay, yeah, that's even better. I love it. I just didn't want to offend anybody. Mr. Chair, then Mr. Basile, did you have questions, Dave?
No, I just,
Okay,
Fred and I just talked, if we could,
Gotcha.
for Ways, that's great. He's ready for it.
please, if you guys can have it for then, that's outstanding. Jim?
Yeah, so we've talked about the 11. Did we ever finally or firmly confirm that the 15 wouldn't be one district, one vote?
Well, I'd like, if I can take that, I've been pretty clear about my support of 11. And I think that it fits the parameters the best. But I would also say with regard to 15, it again leaves Brutus, again, ladies, correct me if I'm wrong, again, leaves Brutus significantly underweighted and does not fit the parameters set forth by the Supreme Court. And I think there's I know I'd have a problem with it.
Close.
The real difference is that the one with 11, we have one district that's minimally over the 5%.
15 though.
In 15, out of the 15 districts, there's 7, I believe, is the number that are outside of 7 of those districts are not a lot outside.
But
The one,
Brutus is
Brutus
large.
is off by,
Almost 600.
by
500 and-
500 and some.
Again, I think what to take away from it is that both, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, that both are maybe acceptable, but the 11 fits the parameters set forth better than the 15. Is that a fair way?
Yeah, it's not even close. The comparison, 11 is.
Right, just fits it
you know,
much
is
better.
up by 120 in one district. The one for 15, we have some of the districts are over and some of them are under, but they're by much larger numbers than that. They're off by 300 and 400. A couple of the districts are off by more than 200.
Understood.
It's more likely to be challenged, let's put it that way. It's very likely to be challenged. It would be defendable.
So
Fred could defend it.
it would be, it could be challenged, but it would be defendable. So we could have.
You could make an
One
argument.
district, one vote. We could make a case on it.
I promise you there'll be legislation at 15. Everybody's entitled to their vote, but I can promise you that. Yes,
Is there a third option,
not that I'm aware of.
like leaving it as it is,
With it on wait, then you're subject to,
with the weighted voting?
yeah, you're subject to the, because we're not a board of supervisors. You're not within the parameters set forth by the Supreme Court. So again, right now, we're subject to recourse. Is that the right word, Fred?
Yes. And in addition to that, the weights would have to be recomputed for all the districts based on a population change. So that would have to be done.
That's a math problem though. It's not like.
Well, the reweighting,
That's a calculator.
But I'm not sure we have anybody in-house that has that skill anymore.
the largest to the smallest district is almost 2 to 1 on the weighted vote. The largest district is at almost 7,000 and the smallest one is just over 4,000.
Fred, and then Mark.
And the other challenge is the law adopted by New York State in October wants the counties to get to one person, one vote. So in addition to having a weight problem, in addition to having a percentage problem, then it's almost contrary to what the state is looking for. The state is trying to get to one person, one vote.
Which results in what if we don't comply?
If you get the weights right where they should be, you may survive a challenge.
Thank you.
Mark?
I mean, we've heard all the positives about going to 11. Is there or are there negatives to go to 11? I mean, nothing's ever, it's not always an easy street. Always usually a bump in the road somewhere. What's the bump?
Well, I suppose one of your negatives is you're gonna have a bigger territory to cover, but I mean, I don't think there's any
Yeah, I already know
negative as
that.
far as the numbers are concerned. I think the negative is just the larger territory for each legislator.
The, the argument could be made that fewer legislators give you fewer ideas, fewer people exchanging ideas up here.
That's where.
That could be a plus.
That's not always a bad thing. Yes.
Less
So-
representation.
Well, that's what I said.
And that's where I was gonna go with it, to kind of add on to what Cheryl was saying. If we decrease the number of legislators, the legislators each have more people that they represent, which means we're possibly bringing in less voices because we can't talk to all of our constituents.
I would argue that we are going from 5,000 to 7,000 plus or minus 500. These are manageable numbers
So,
easily. Yes, sir.
so what's that do for all the committees now too? What about all these committees and all these things that all the legislators have to participate in? You're gonna divide that from 15 now down to 11. And I'm
almost
happy with
unmanageable at
my
15.
$13.50 an hour, but
You're lucky if you're getting that.
I haven't done my report, but I'm just saying, now you're gonna take, so there's 6 committees right now, right? And there's six or seven. So now,
You're gonna go.
are we gonna just do,
5
are we
probably.
just gonna do away with the committees and just have?
Oh, that's extreme.
I'm-
Yeah, no, you're not gonna do it. You're gonna go from 7 to 5.
You're gonna go from seven people to 5 people in each.
I
committee?
think, somebody check me if I'm wrong.
I mean, are we looking at the big picture down the road with it, with that? Well, not just these committee meetings, but look at the list of stuff that the legislators all get put on.
Yeah, someone should consider making an executive to handle the day-to-day operations of the county.
I don't think that's the same thing.
I don't think
though.
that's what we're talking about right now. Right
I,
now, we're talking about the districts and redistricting.
but I thought you were talking about managing the county.
No, I was talking about all the committee, well, I am, all the committees that we're asked to sit on. But we'll not be asked to sit on any committees. A new legislator won't be asked to sit on any committees but the 6.
No, that's not true.
Well, I didn't ask you, I was asking the chairman.
So there's 6 standing committees and we would have to change, Fred, right? We would have to change our bylaws in order to create different committees. So I just don't see how you would change the committee structure by changing the number, anything other than going from 7 to 5.
Yeah, I'm asking.
Oh, I understand. These things all need to be sorted out. So ask the questions now.
Yeah, you can absolutely do that. You don't have to have 7 on a committee. You can bring it down to 5. That way you're on just as many committees as you are now and not more. I just asked Fred. So we can do that.
So we're able to do that math right now.
I'm not taking the bait.
Smart man.
Yes.
And not to sound like I'm challenging, I know you chased me away real quick when I asked the last question.
No, I'm just trying to defend my point. That's all. Please don't take it.
Nope, that's fine. But already I have constituents who say, I want to go back to Board of Supervisors where my voice is heard, where there is one supervisor for one town, and those are the people who are meeting. And now we're going to cut it back even further where they're getting less representation. What I'm saying is my constituents will not be happy with going to 11. That's farther away from where they want to be. They want less government and more voice.
Wouldn't you I don't know if and forgive me if I'm wrong, I'm just trying to have a dialectical,
I'm
you know,
all about it.
but I think that by shrinking the size of the body, we are limiting government and doing just what we're supposed to as conservatives.
Numerically.
Sorry if I just lost them.
Numerically, no, you're right, as far as the numbers, but as far as the representation goes away.
Not really, because you're still representing each person has or is represented through like the Republic form of government by their individual legislator. So by being one person, one vote, they are represented. Right now, I have an argument, Trish, I think is the smallest one, are not being represented right now. We're not, it's not good for us right now. My constituents are not being represented. Trish, they're not being represented appropriately. Sorry, go ahead.
You know, it might be instructive to think for a minute about the way this has transpired over time. When they started out with the Board of Supervisors in the 70s, during the 1970s, they had a Board of Supervisors.
Yes.
And they had they decided they would call that the county legislature, and they combined, they never put the districts together equally. They just paired them up
By town.
whatever the way they wanted to. They weren't equal, they weren't in any way equal, right? From the very beginning, they were not equal. They started out, they had 23 towns, they had 23 supervisors and 10 in the city of Auburn because they had wards. Right now, there are no wards in the city of Auburn, so you would have to recreate that in order to go back to something like the Board of Supervisors. Secondly, the next time that they changed it, they went down to 23 members. 2 years later, they went down to 21, then they went to 19, and then they went to 15, which is where it's been since 1990, the 1990 census. Each time it's been decreased in size to become a more workable group has always been the argument when they went before the voters.
Just gonna say the one district that did not change is Senate and Owasco. So that person has always been representing many more people than the rest of you, and they've handled it. I
Essentially.
mean, this just brings it all into an
Yeah,
equal.
would it be fair to say that by going to 11, we all bring everybody up to
The same number of people.
Andy's size?
Size, right?
So if I had a district that was crunched in, it might be easier to handle more people than a district that's spread out.
Absolutely.
So,
There's no doubt
I
about
mean,
that. you know.
That's the nice side.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, no, that's the truth. Mark's is the one that stands to be affected the most by
Some of these
this.
people that Scipio, I mean, look at that U-shaped district. They gotta drive through 7 to get to their bottom end of 6 and lock.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be more of a challenge for for most of the districts. Looking at 6, 7, and 1, they're pretty spread out.
Fair. I mean, I think they're reasonable.
Populations in those areas are pretty spread out.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you were, saying that, someone said earlier that what's now being represented as District 5 is harder to manage than another district.
The numbers are the same, it's just smaller
When you're
geographic.
in the country,
So,
the best way to get them together is a barn fire, because they have a show.
And in my situation currently, I attend 3 town board meetings every month. I try to hit all of the meetings. If I had Senate in Owasco, I'd be able to spend more time with my family because I'd be attending less meetings. In this situation, if I'm the fortunate one to be elected to represent, I have additional meetings. So although it's not just about the numbers of people identify in their towns as well, and they have their local governments also. Am I making any sense there?
I do, I think, because you're trying to keep like a community identity. Is that what you're trying to say, maybe?
Well, they expect you to, because they have their meetings as well. They have their issues as towns. They have their budgets. They have their challenges, and they expect you to be there knowing what those are.
Well, I feel as though it's manageable. I respect everybody's decision at the end of the day, how they vote. I've been pretty open what I think is the most appropriate. We've had credible testimony as to what is the most appropriate, and also the options. If possible, I'd like actually, do we want it before? I can't answer that. So we can either wait till next month or have talk to Hans about having a resolution for Ways and Means. Yes, Mr. Chair.
I mean, we discussed this, both groups discussed it in caucus, and I thought both caucuses came to kind of a big majority agreement on this. Something must have changed since last week. So, I mean, Fred's got it almost all done. If we want to talk about it more, that's great. But if we don't, then we vote like we vote on everything at Ways. That's the way I feel.
I'd like to see it brought before Ways if the resolution is ready, but I don't have that authority. I tell you, when the resolution is ready, I'll bring it before the full legislature. And if it's, however the vote goes, I hold no grudges.
Let's take it to Ways then. I mean, Fred's got it 3/4 of the way done, he said. So it can be done by next Thursday easily.
Ready for, that's what I'd like to do. Mark?
I don't want to throw a big monkey wrench in the whole works here. Obviously, I think just listening to this conversation, there's been some, maybe some minds have changed, or there are some questions that need to be answered. I will speak for the Republican side of the House and say, is there a possibility of another caucus prior to Thursday?
Well, let's caucus, but still have the resolution.
I agree.
I'm not in that committee, but I would agree with that. I'd like to have a caucus before.
Yeah, but Fred, can you keep working on it until we?
Yeah, I don't want to hold up.
Instead of presenting it at the Ways, can we hold it until Ledge?
Mr. Patcher is the chairman of Ways and Means.
He doesn't like 11. I remember that.
We can certainly have a caucus before next Thursday. I mean, that's not a hard thing.
That's all I was saying.
I'll just send out an email for our caucus. I can't speak for the Democratic caucus, but again, I thought this was all discussed and pretty much all settled
All right,
until a half hour ago.
so let's have Fred continue to work on this. Katie and Cheryl are both busy. Is there any further questions for Katie and Cheryl regarding the 11 districts, or you all have the report? Any questions regarding the report?
No questions regarding the 4. Could have another copy of that 15 for our caucus.
Okay,
Map with the population on it.
I can send it to you electronically, or we can get one taken care of for it.
Sitting there.
Send it to Sheila or Max and they'll print it for you, or not.
Yeah.
I'd just like to thank them for the work that they did on it. I mean,
Absolutely.
the numbers look great. They're really close. And I know it was quite the task, especially when I flipped the page and see all the streets and stuff on there. You guys must have gone nuts, but thank you for your efforts. I appreciate it.
I would like to say, please don't be offended by the questions. I got to fine tune a couple of things. You guys did a great job at providing this information.
Takes more than that to get me offended.
So.
Thank you.
I have really been offended
I wanna go to
sometimes,
the-
believe me, this is
the,
nothing.
I prefer to do the offending.
I want to get to the 80 grit sandpaper. Did it?
Oh, my damn. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, ladies. Thanks for all the work.